With over $80 billion in trade and 10 million travellers crossing our nation's border each year, the integrity of that border is critical to New Zealand's economic prosperity. The Ministry for Primary Industries is one of several government organisations involved in protecting it, and in turn, our primary sector.
You're currently located in the ITOC, which is the Integrated Targeting Operations Centre. We've got 6 agencies here: New Zealand Customs, Ministry for Primary Industries, New Zealand Police, Maritime New Zealand, SIS and Immigration. This centre sits in the MPI structure as very much a tactical centre, and it is focused at the moment on border risks. We will be looking over time to use the centre and the skills that the centre has to think of wider MPI risks, but at the moment it is focused predominantly on border risks. ITOC was established in December 2010. We do a lot of scanning around what's going on, having a look at and preparing for what are some of the risks coming over the border. The other part of the centre is the targeting and profiling area. That's where we're using information jointly between the agencies that are here to look at what are some of the wider risks and some of the higher risks for the borders in general. A lot of our staff are looking at information that's gathered, either pre-arrival information about passengers, vessels, some goods, and also looking at trend information. We're getting a lot of information from other parts of the Ministry for Primary Industries and other parts of obviously Customs and the other agencies. If an emerging risk is identified offshore, so there's a change in a climatic situation and it's meaning that pests, different pests or more pests, are coming from a country they wouldn't otherwise have come from, or at a time they wouldn't otherwise have come, that information will make its way into the ITOC, and it will enable our staff here to gather more information about that, both domestically and internationally, and then advise our frontline staff of particular things to look out for and where they may want to think about a different targeting of particular flights because those changes have occurred.
Let's go.
We're expanding our Detector Dog program, so the 5 that graduated today are the start in, I think there'll be 11 by next year. Dogs are one of our interventions. They're a very important intervention, just as the risk profiling and risk assessment is here. We'll have a program that is both Labradors and Beagles, and those dogs will operate across multiple pathways. So they will operate at airports, they will operate at the mail centre and operate at the port as well.
Start with the box first, 2 apples, bottom of the box and then most closed.
Each of our interventions performs a very specific function. The detector dogs will identify seeds and plants that maybe aren't as easy to identify on an X-ray machine. We also, obviously, we have X-ray machines, the risk assessment which is done here. Every passenger is interviewed by one of our quarantine inspectors. There's social media, amnesty bins, and passengers are filling in declaration forms. All of these interventions working together is what makes the biosecurity system.
The biggest challenge we have with developing a biosecurity system is to balance that ability to have relatively free trade, to assist our tourism industry, and yet to make sure we keep ourselves free from risks and disease. What has become clear to me as the Minister now in charge of biosecurity for 4 years is the best system that we can develop will involve industry. So we need to work with industry far more closely than we have in the past, so that we are aware of what incursions could possibly arise. We're ready to respond again with industry. While I accept it is government's prime responsibility, we will still get the best outcomes if we learn to work with the industry and, in fact, with every New Zealander.
Good girl! There's only a small amount of odours that the dogs are trained on. They're trained on about 30 or 40 base odours, and then there's variables to those. So these dogs could know up to 200-300 odours at the end of it. Plants, seeds, everything else.
As a farmer, I know that the risk to the New Zealand economy is absolutely extreme if we were to get a major incursion such as foot and mouth disease. I am confident that we have developed the best biosecurity systems in the world But if they're good today, they can be better tomorrow. And we need to constantly look at new technologies, new interventions that are possible, and keep modernising the biosecurity system, keep meeting the ever-increasing challenges that will present themselves at our border.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.